Hi, thanks so much for being here.
Good cross.
Thanks for having us.
So, according to the CDC, more than a quarter of adults in the U.S. live with some sort of disability, and the most common of these is a mobility issue.
Yeah.
There are more than 3 million wheelchair users in the U.S., so this is not a niche market.
Not at all.
It's also big business. The North American wheelchair market is expected to be nearly $2 billion by 2028. But y'all didn't get into this for the money. Tell us a little bit about how LUCI started.
Well, we started because my daughter, Catherine, is in a power chair, and we had a friend who was injured. She just turned a little too soon on a ramp, and a horrible injury. So suddenly we're like, we need to find a wheelchair that's connected, that has safety systems, other things besides just a seat belt and a joystick and a boat battery. They're not very technologically savvy, for the price point especially. And so when we went looking for that and couldn't find it anywhere, we realized we weren't going to spend Catherine's lifetime waiting for somebody to do it. And so we began building the intellectual property and the technology to make this happen. That's how we started.
And LUCI is a system of cameras, radars, sensors, a computer, and connectivity that basically talks from the joystick to the motor. And you work with wheelchair manufacturers, so you can sell it on its own, you can sell it as part of a new chair purchase.
Yeah.
And we have a photo of what the chair sees, so we're going to take a look at that.
It's down here.
Down here?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, so LUCI's looking 360 degrees around the chair. And we fuse multiple sensor types so that we can see people, cats, curbs, things that might, walls, things that you might run into or, cause problems with navigation.
When we started doing research, we had independent crash test studies that were done that showed that the forces that happen to a wheelchair driver's body exceed what's allowed by law for a car. And yet there had been no safety technology for it, so we set about to change it.
And even though you have more than 20 patents on this thing, y'all often say that products are more than products. What do you mean by that?
I mean, we've got here by collaboration, and that's both with obviously users and clinicians, but it's also been with Intel's RealSense group and with Texas Instruments to develop our own millimeter wave radar, and all these partners that have come alongside to push technology, because it turns out it's the problems we're solving are a deceptively hard problem. And so it's one of those, you can't get there without collaboration. Life's a team sport for both our users and for us.
And what we would also be saying there is, this is not a product that's a convenience item. A person purchases a chair or their insurance purchases it for them, and then basically one of our friends who's in a wheelchair says, it's the pair of pants that I'm stuck with for 4 years. And so if it doesn't work, I can't go, I can't interact, I can't be a part of my own life. And so that's why the product is more than, technology for us could be a barrier, which it has been in this area, or it could be a bridge. And we felt we could build a product and had the passion and built a team to do it that could build bridges out to all the areas that you would expect things like this would have. I mean, my bathroom scale is connected, my thermostat, but this current world, until LUCI, the wheelchair wasn't a part of that, and it was probably one of their biggest expenses. So that's why we did that.
And something that you taught me was that wheelchair users, after using them for a while, start to see the chair as part of their own body image.
That's right.
and part of their self.
That's right. Yeah, we would never walk up and just touch a chair. We would always ask, because it really is a part of, imagine that this is true of the technology as well. A lot of technology we hear about, we want the human out of the loop, and we respect those companies that are doing autonomous vehicles. We love those companies. But in our case, our technology and IP is about the human in the loop, because we're not trying to take authority or autonomy away from the individual. We're trying to give independence and freedom and be a partner with them. So it's a little different approach.
And I want to touch on something you said about your bathroom scale. So, the photo that we saw and what we've talked about before is similar to what we've experienced in things like cars or as other motorized products get smarter.
That's right.
But as you said, it takes a while for these innovations to come to marginalized communities like wheelchair users.
Right.
So we have a lot of tech leaders in this room today and listening virtually. How can they and all of us be more thoughtful about who we create products for and how innovation can be applied, more liberally?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, one of the things, I can't wait to go ride Waymo One, and I so respect what they're doing. This problem is in the unmapped spaces, the unstructured places, the places that don't have rules of the road. That's where our users live. That's where we live. Everywhere you've been in the last month, our technology has to work. And so we actually have to put the human back in the loop and start working with people of all abilities and really looking and searching that out, because anybody in this room can join the disability community this afternoon.
At any time.
And if we all live long enough, at a certain age, we probably will, statistically. And so it's an amazingly welcoming community. It's an amazingly warm community. And so we need to engage. And we've loved the process of engaging. We've learned so much. It's been an amazing journey. We have our family members, but then we have these amazing users that we work with.
But awareness, I think, is part of that answer too. I mean, and providing this forum for us to be a part of this is a huge gift, and we're grateful for it because it gives us a chance to say, hey, we want to build bridges in a broader way, not just for our company, but the idea that, hey, there's a demographic and a market there that's real, and these are incredible people, and so they've been incredibly welcoming. But I think awareness and then passion for it. I mean, we have a team assembled there's nobody more passionate about what we're doing than our team and our developers. And
so before we take a look at the chair itself, let's hear from someone who's used it firsthand.
I'm Janae Aragon, and I was born with cerebral palsy. I had close calls where I didn't see the curb, and it just stopped me from falling off the curb. It has become a part of what I need now. I can be more independent without having technically a babysitter behind me telling me to watch where I'm going. It's life-changing.
Okay, so now we have Jared in the chair. Barry, tell us what I'm about to see.
Okay, this it won't be super dramatic. It should look pretty calm. But he's just going to drive over here, and we're going to stand here, and we're not going to run into us, just to show that the collision avoidance is he's still pushing forward on the joystick, but the chair itself is stopped. And that's true of drop-offs. Now, that's quite a drop-off. But most of these chairs, in spite of their cost and time, 2 to 4 inches will flip the chair and cause horrible injuries. The average curb is 6 inches. I didn't know that when I started. I have a daughter in a wheelchair, and I had no idea about any of this. But as we went on the journey, we learned that. So then he drove to the corner there, and it stopped him there. You can see this is just kind of a smart frame that attaches to existing power wheelchairs. A lot of people think we've invented a new wheelchair. We didn't feel like that was the issue that was needed. There just needed to be intelligence and connectivity and safety. So you'll have cameras and things, as you described, mounted to the frame.
And one of the unique things we've done is actually tune the machine to the user instead of get the user to deal with the machine. So we actually capture the user's reaction time and keep the world within their ability to react to that. Again, this idea of keeping the human in the loop as a key part of what we're doing.
That's right.
It reminds me of when you're setting the cruise control and you can choose what's your risk tolerance.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
And a big part of this is crowd control, is the ability to attend events with other people and feel part of society. Tell me a little bit about how LUCI allows people to be in crowds.
I think 2 ways. One way is what I would call the digital citizen side of it. Most of the folks that are on our user group and advisory group, they're well connected with their phones and devices, but their chair wasn't a part of that. So now we have data, and this is going to be a software-defined device in the future, just like so many things, but it couldn't if we didn't have LUCI. And then the other way, I think, is it's dynamic. It's really doing this. We're not doing this with mapping or some controlled system. And so this allows, we called the use case Disney after the the fireworks. My choice is, do I leave before it's over, or do I wait till the park clears out? Well, the other way is you can have dynamic sensors and technology that'll allow you to truly be included in that crowd if you want to be. And so as we walk down, I'll walk in front of him, and it's not very dramatic, but you'll see that if he starts driving and I walk up to him, go ahead, then it'll stop, and then it'll match my tempo as we're going down the ramp. So that's kind of what it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for being here.